Welcome to the H series of webinars. This series is aimed at new and aspiring sheep producers to give them a step up into the Queensland sheep industry. This housing webinar is part 6 of the series and explores the basics of shearing facilities. This webinar was delivered by shearing contractor Rayleen Bowden Sheedy on the 13th of August 2020. This is clip 3 of 4 and covers shearing shed design.
All right, so we're going to touch on shearing shed design. I love this part. This is my favourite part. I've recently, or over the last few years, been working with wool growers in my local area on shearing shed design, especially since there's been a lot of people that have gone out of sheep for so long, or merino sheep, and coming back into the industry. It's been really exciting to see growers wanting to improve their current conditions as well. And what I say is you do have to work with the space you have within your budget as well. It can be things as simple as Batwing gates on your catching pen to removing a bin to create more space. As we know, of recent times, lines of wool have decreased and it's really encouraged to bulk lines up. And I think wool growers now have a lot more consistency in their wool lines, like as genetics have improved immensely over the last 10 or 15 years more. The days of classing 8 to 10 lines is a thing of the past. There is a lot of wasted space or area where bins aren't being used that could create space for something else, such as bale space, wool butt space, could even mean the possibility of changing your whole wool room to help the flow of production. Here's one example. There used to be big timber wool bins in this shed, which left us with limited space to do anything really. So my suggestion was to use the rubber belting and the box steel, which I did see in a shed that I helped design previous to this. As you can see, there's a new wool table as well. The theory behind the pieces bin being so big is to stop cross-contamination in the main line. And there is generally a full bale of pieces in that bin when it is level with the top of the table. That bin is 1.5 metres wide. The main line is 1.3 metres wide to allow for extra space when the wool presser has to do a bale of butts or cast lines during the run. He has ample enough space to get that bale done and get back to his main line without it filling up too much. Then the remaining 3 lines bin width is back to 1 metre. The length of these bins are 2.8 metres long and 1.8 metres high, which even scaling them back to 1 metre, you've still got ample enough room with that length of bins to have a full bale of wool in there. This is another design which I've been working with the grower on this. It's the Batwing swing doors. He has a longboard on the ground. He's always having issues with sheep running onto the board and down and into the count-out pen. With what he has done, he has ultimately fixed that problem, also gave the shearers a better or easier drag. I'm really impressed by what he had space that he had to do it working. So he did a demonstration for me just how good they are. So see how the height of them, they're not going to pinch the shearers back, even though the wool grower is pretty tall, but it sort of eliminates that, and the gap between the batwing, I think it's about 2 centimetres. So you sort of, they're not going to hit together and pinch the shearers on the back, which is really good. They're really free when they move. I went to a shed the other day and we just had a look at the stands, and when I walked in, I noticed straight away that there was a lip, like the boards at the top of the chute, and something in my experience can be very frustrating to a shearer, as the sheep will dig their front feet into it and provide it very difficult to put the sheep down the chute. A flat surface with no lips is more ideal and stops the frustration and anger towards the animal, and ultimately keeps the shearer cool and calm. In this photo, there's a lot of wasted bin space. As this shed operates normally as a 4-stand, I suggested with the red arrow to make a bigger pieces bin. As the grower said, they never use the end bin, and being the design of the area will be better for the wool handlers to throw the pieces to a larger space to stop the cross-contamination. With the yellow arrow, I suggested opening up the mainline bin, like taking the tin off the front, so when the presser is busy penning up, the wool classer can ultimately feed fleeces into the wool press. Very handy if you're nearing a cutout or in general to ease the workload on the presser. Another option here with this narrow walkway to drag butts, I suggested maybe to remove the first bin there, and that could be more storage in a more functional space. So in this photo, we're discussing the possibility of widening the board. They did say that the shed hands really struggle. They're too close to the shearers. It's very doable. The small arrow is the space needed for the staff comfortably to move around the board. So it's not a lot to take out, but it's enough to make things flow a lot easier. And also removing the big pen doors on the wheels and replacing them with Batwing doors, which I showed you just before. And it's an absolute space saver. In this image, as you can see, there's a lot of wasted space in this shearing shed. The board's very wide, so I suggested they could bring the pens forward a bit and widen them up a little bit as well. There's a lot of space where it could be utilised. The bottom arrows for moving the pen entrance forward, widening the forcing pens with the extra space. In the following image is a design we came up with. So ultimately they were going to add one or two shearers. They're currently a 3-stander, so they were going to ultimately add another stand or two in that space, and then we could put the bins on an angle and utilise all of that empty space and take out the old bins and replace them with something like I showed you in the first image.
Thank you for watching this short clip. For more information, please visit www.leadingsheep.com.au.